When I think of Christmas, many impressions come to my mind. The familiar scent of pine needles, the soft light of candles, a feeling of warmth and security, festive music, coziness, togetherness, anticipation, and expectation. At Christmas, we lose ourselves in familiar rituals, the festively set table, the gifts that we got for others and share, and the atmosphere that somehow reminds us of our childhood, of moments of rest, of something we sincerely wish for. I feel a longing for security and for a life that is a little slower, a little less hectic than what I experience in my everyday life. And I feel a longing for a world that is whole, without wars, conflict, or attacks. Familiar, secure, safe. These are the thoughts and feelings that Christmas brings for me. But if we're honest with ourselves, we also have to ask, what are we really celebrating at Christmas? What lies behind these rituals and the tradition? Why are they so important to us that it cannot be Christmas without them? What would Christmas be without Holy Night? The Christmas story is one of the most famous stories in the world, but it contains a radicalism that is easily overlooked because we are so used to the story, because we have simply domesticated Christmas. Don't get me wrong. The customs and traditions and rituals around Christmas have their own value, and it is beautiful and important to celebrate them. But focusing only on tradition without looking at its roots carries the danger that the celebration will be hollowed out, commercialized. And the longing for security and for love is exactly the opposite of this. The events of the birth of Jesus are not romantic, not a fairy tale full of shine, silence, and holiness. They are so much more. A story that reflects life in all its contradictions and harshness. A story of upheaval and resistance, of poverty and the power of hope. First, there are the circumstances of Jesus' birth. Mary was a young girl, a teenager. The pregnancy of a teenager is nothing romantic, neither today nor back then. On the contrary, it's marked by stigma, gossip, and social rejection, especially when the father is unknown. But there's more. The Roman census that sets this whole event in motion is not a small administrative act. It is an expression of the totalitarian claim of a regime that wants to list the entire world, not out of love or to better understand one another, but to collect more taxes and reinforce power. The census is the expression of an authority that wants to control everything in order to build palaces and finance armies. And it reminds me of the detailed lists that were later kept in other totalitarian regimes, as in Nazi Germany, a bureaucratic and cold control over people's lives. And in the midst of this system of control and power, in this world of lists and numbers, God becomes human, a baby. A little boy is born, not in a house with an address, but in a stable, undocumented, unlisted. There's no room for him in the world ruled by the emperor. No count, no census, no register. And the first to hear about this birth are not powerful kings or learned priests, but simple shepherds, people who have no address, just like the child in the manger. People who do not appear in the great lists of the world, who are not of importance to the political and social system of their time. But why are they the first to hear the message of the angels? What could What could shepherds possibly change? Why should such a message be significant for them? The message of the angels to the shepherds questions the decree of the emperor. The emperor speaks of the whole world, of taxes and tribute payments, of this power over all people. But the angels speak of a different for all people, a for all people from God. The significance of Jesus' birth cannot be placed in the list of this world. With it comes a message to the world that has an entirely different quality, that comes from a different source. A message that does not spread through power and violence, but through love and community. And so the true light of Christmas is not to be found in the, at best, sparsely illuminated stable. It is a metaphorical light shown to us through the birth of Jesus, the incarnation of God. God is love. The light of Christmas is the light of love, a love that does not expect from the world what the world expects: power, wealth, influence, but love that fully reveals itself in weakness and poverty, that settles in a stable and arrives in a child. The light of Christmas is an image of the hope that shines in the darkness. It is the light that shows us the world as it is today does not have to remain that way, and it will not. In this sense, the Christmas story is the story of a rebellion against cruelty, against hate and violence, against wars and lies, against authoritarian regimes and the suppression of voices of the people. It is also a rebellion against shootings and against Christmas market attacks. And the rebellion consists of not giving into hate and resignation, but consciously turning to the light, to hope, to love. Arise, shine, for your light has come. The prophet Isaiah calls in a verse that particularly resonates with us during the Christmas season. He calls us to not only receive this light of Christmas, but to become it ourselves, in our lives, in our relationships, in our society. Light attracts and invites, as you might have noticed when you went on a walk during the dark hours of the days. If there's a lit window, you look into it. And when we allow ourselves to be drawn to and ignited by this light, our world will become brighter. And we too can carry the light, the love, into this world through mutual respect and consideration, through our togetherness, through our community, by building structures that promote solidarity, by speaking out against injustice, by comforting, by making ourselves approachable. Because the light is not just for ourselves, but for us to carry it into the world. And we are many. Together, we can make the darkness bright. This Christmas, I invite you to not only look at the light of the Christmas tree, but also to the greater, deeper light that shines in the birth of Jesus. The light of love, which invites us to change the world. Just as the shepherds, after hearing the message of the angels, did not stay in the darkness, but set out to seek the light, we too are invited to walk this path. May the light of Christmas guide us, comfort us, and make us instruments of peace and love. Amen.